Good morning. I'm going to talk about the police and how every single cop that is still working as a policeman should either leave now or be considered the enemy of the people. Let me mention this at the beginning. Daniel Bostock did a fantastic documentary on this years and years ago, on the Peelian principle. So Robert Peel was the founder of the police force, and that's why they called bobbies. And I believe citizens on patrol was the term that brought around cop. So if I'm wrong about any of that stuff, anyway, don't blame me. Blame Daniel Bostock. Hello, Daniel, if you watch this. Top bloke, make more music videos. Anyway, so growing up as a little boy in the 1970s and then as an adolescent in the 1980s, in a sort of lower middle class kind of upbringing, working class parents from the East End of London, ran away from the East End of London for obvious reasons, and did well for themselves. Back then you could buy a house for about £1.75, and you had upward mobility, and good for them. They've done well for themselves, and I benefited from a very nice childhood, very, very idyllic English childhood, and where we weren't afraid of the police. Like if you were doing something naughty, like if you were hanging around with a group of mates and like one of them had a spray can and put some graffiti on a wall or something like that, you were like, yeah, you're afraid because you get clipped around the ear. The coppers back then were more likely to actually take you to your parents and say, this is what I found your son doing, Mrs. Winston Smith. That was about the extent of it, really, So obviously, if you were a criminal, because criminals did exist, you should have been afraid of them. But otherwise, you weren't. And if you're a shopkeeper, they might come in, they might say hello, they might buy an apple from you. I'm sort of making up some sort of Dixon and Doc Green sort of fantasy here, but they would probably say, "How's things going?" And you say, "It's all right, yeah." But that little bugger pickpocket. Shoplifted from us the other day. Right on it again and deal with it. I had a mate who told me a story where his dad caught him shoplifting like a bar of chocolate when he was like 8 or something like that, 10 years old. And his dad took him to the police force, winked at the sergeant or whoever on the desk, and reported him. And they winked back and played along with it and made out that they were going to, he was going to go away to prison and all that. And they absolutely terrified him to the point where, the thought of shoplifting would never occur to him again. Whereas nowadays, you do that, I don't know, they'd probably process the little boy, won't they? And he'll have a criminal record of some sort. Like they've lost that connection with the community. And as I say, that's what it was all about. Any police watch this, you are always supposed to police us with our consent. The minute you lose our consent, you are null and void. You have no authority over us anymore, and you're going to find this out when enough people, and that number is growing rapidly now. It's almost exponential. Is that the right word? When they really figure out who you really are now, you're done. And I don't think the army's going to back you up when the government calls them in, because most of those guys are patriots. You should get on the winning side of this revolution, and we are the winning side, and you are the losing side. So the way I see it, you got two. These are your options: stay for your pension. Your wife's going, "Don't you dare leave. We need it," and just look the other way. As you see guys that you signed up with have gone up and up and up because they've been prepared to play the game. They're zealots to the common purpose training. They will dob in their mates, because that you can't get proper promotion into a senior rank unless you have actually done, God's work from their point of view and reported someone like you for not approving of the plan. So you can stay. Try to see if you can, get to the point where you can draw your pension and then retire and then say, thank God that's over. But I got news for you. This is my opinion. There ain't going to be any pensions. I mean, there might not be pensions for most of the civil service and state pensions anyway, because the whole system is built to just collapse at some stage. But even if it didn't, when we win the revolution, you will be held accountable. And you think that the people that rebuild the country are going to let you sit on that lovely nest egg that's been built up from our taxes that if you've used against us to persecute us, you've got another thing coming. So you might as well leave. Or the other option you have is to speak out and actually say this is wrong, which basically means you're leaving because they'll sack you anyway. So yeah, do check out Daniel Bostocks' video. If when I get home later on, I'll see if no one's shared a link to it before. Yeah, so if you're watching this in the comments, please share a link to it if you find it. It's brilliant, and if not, I will later in the description. I'm off to work, and yeah, I'll catch you soon. But yeah, the police, you're not our police. You don't police us anymore. It's done for you. Because, sorry, I'm going to waffle on a little bit longer. I am a law-abiding person. I don't steal. I don't do violence to people. I don't put my hands where they're not wanted on a woman that doesn't want them there. You know, my hands only go on my woman. I am a good, decent, moral person. I have plenty of flaws, but overall, I'm what would be considered a law-abiding citizen. Whereas now, you would probably consider me a criminal because I say things that might hurt the feelings of the LGBT. I might say things about Islam like, well, it's a bit stabby, it's a bit explodey, a bit R-wordy, aren't they? You know, and then that makes me a criminal. So you don't police me. You don't have my consent. Now, you can arrest me and you can throw me in a cell, but you do so illegitimately. Anyway, that's it. I hope everyone's well. Try not to get yourself in trouble. Try to be smart with how you say things online. Obviously, you know, like with this Monahan guy, the Father Ted. This is the reason why I brought this up. You know, he's gone and got himself arrested, and we've had 70-year-old pink ladies getting pepper sprayed in the face. You know, no, the police, you're done. You're done. You are working. You are doing evil. You are the Nazi guard at Auschwitz. That's what you are, and you need to leave. You have the benefit of actually being able to leave. I don't think those soldiers would have been able to leave without being considered a deserter, and they probably would have been lined up against the wall and shot. You won't get lined up against the wall and shot. All right? You should just leave. Forget your pension. You're not getting it anyway. You're not getting it. It's done. Anyway, see you soon. Bye-bye.